Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button right out of the gate, but really just hit that like button. If you guys like my videos and you want to help my channel out, if you could hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. Share the video and then subscribe to my channel if you like it. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a new article that came out. We read it right at the end of my show last night by The Independent, and it talks about a couple individuals that were going to testify at trial that work with Celebrite and had some pretty interesting information. It's sort of weird because it kind of contradicts what we keep hearing from Bill Thompson, that there's no connection, etc., and maybe there's no proof of a connection. And I understand, and maybe we'll go over that by going over the Independent article. Then the second part will be about trying to explain to the hordes of people who showed up to one of my last videos and said that I had Xana and Maddie's room backwards merely because there's a pink sheet on Xana's bed, therefore it has to be Maddie, lacking the complete understanding of the layout of the room, etc., that these people have. And they say it with so much confidence and sort of veracity. Oh, you're wrong, Gray. And it's like, well, no, I actually built a 3D model of the entire house. I know where everything is. And even when there was just a light switch in a tiny little portion of the bed that was out as an image in Madison's room, I was able to guess that likely that is Madison's room, just because there's a light switch on that wall, and there wouldn't be a light switch on the wall in Xana's room where there's a bed. Where her bed is, I mean. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, however, is discuss the Independent article. All right. And parts of the article I just kind of put together here in a JPEG file. At 2:54 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, Brian Kohberger's phone went dark. All right. And we know that the phone went dark in Pullman, Washington, right over in this area here, near Nevada Street. Somewhere right in this area it went dark. And then I think he then drove down like this, and that's 2:54 in the morning. Then he comes out right here on the highway, and then I actually drove this route, and believe it or not, when it passes Floyd's Cannabis Shop right here, it was 3:02 when a camera on that building films the Elantra driving in. And that's exactly the amount of time it took to drive by Floyd's Cannabis Shop, because I timed it. All right, so let's get back to the article. The battery hadn't died, and it wasn't randomly powered off. It was silenced with precision. So this is extra information that we didn't know. We thought he just merely turned off his phone, but I would think that would have the same effect. But they're saying Wi-Fi and cellular data were disabled. No location tracking was on, and no background activity. A deliberate blackout during the exact window prosecutors say 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered at their off-campus home. 2 hours later, at 4:48 a.m., the phone turned back on, and that was near Blaine. Right here is Moscow, Idaho. And then after the homicides, Kohberger drove out just like this, watch on the screen, just like this, down, and then on Conestoga, and then made his way to Palouse River Drive. And then I think my opinion is he drove over here and drove out a long ways around and then came out near Blaine right here. But this is Blaine, Idaho, and that's where his phone turned back on at around 4:48, right out in this area here. Okay, and as you can see, that's directly south of Moscow, Idaho. So again, 2 hours later at 4:48 a.m., the phone turned back on. It would be months before investigators fully understood what that gap in activity meant. I don't know why it would take him months to figure out what that gap meant. It meant that he was killing during that time. But to the digital forensic experts tasked by prosecutors with retracing Kohberger's steps for evidence to be used against him in his trial, the silence spoke volumes. Barnhart and her colleague Jared Barnhart, head of CX strategy and advocacy at Celebrite, also a digital forensic expert on the case, were slated to testify at Kohberger's trial. So these two were going to testify at the trial. before he unexpectedly accepted a plea deal, admitting to the November 2022 quadruple murders and receiving life without parole in July, and also he cannot appeal. Apparently he can appeal, however, a judge will say, oh, well, you signed a document saying you won't appeal, and they'll probably just throw it out. The Celebrite team had uncovered files scrubbed from devices, searches routed through VPNs, and deep downloads about serial killers, all of which they say painted a chilling picture of obsession and planning. Forensic analysis revealed that Kohberger's phone had only 4 periods of total inactivity dating back to June of 2022. One of those silent moments occurred on the night of the murders. So he did it 3 other times. Perhaps he was practicing, to see how to do it. He didn't just lose signal or run out of battery. And by the way, maybe he turned it off those other 3 times that he actually turned off his phone. Maybe he was stalking the house, and actually one of the times he entered the house, and maybe that's how he figured out the layout. Because now we know that he did it 3 other times. He must have perhaps turned it off knowing that that would be something that would look bad if he was ever determined to be inside that home with his cellular device. So he probably, on a night that he perhaps broke in or snuck into the house to surveil it, he would have done the same thing, wouldn't you think? So he didn't just lose signal or run out of battery, Jared explained. This was an actual button press, power off on purpose, and then power back 2 hours later. And in the middle of that, 4 people were killed. Well, of course he would, he turned it off intentionally. But above you were mentioning about how he turned off these different, location and different things like that. As a criminology PhD student at Washington State University, Kohberger had long been immersed in the study of crime, but according to the digital forensic team, his interests crossed a line from academic to obsessive. He didn't just Google these cases, Heather said. He downloaded full PDFs of case files. Not once, but repeatedly. He was downloading detailed reports of serial killers, including Danny Rolling, who also murdered college students using a similar knife. Yes, and I'll put at the end of this video, I made a video months ago comparing Danny Rolling to Brian Kohberger, and maybe that would be interesting for you to watch now, because Danny Rolling also broke into off-campus sorority houses and broke the sliding glass door with a K-bar knife that he purchased from a store. They actually have the records of that. I mean, it's pretty startling, the similarities, to be honest with you. And I guess there was one of the cases too. There's a male in the house, and he killed them first, and it even explains why he did that. This wasn't casual browsing. This was meticulous research, she added. He was diligent in prep and cleanup, and he made our job really hard, Jared said. This is someone who tried really hard to not be detected. Kohberger's digital footprint also included a passive log of Wi-Fi networks his phone sought out. So like places that maybe he signed on to at another time, and then when you're near there, it perhaps tries to log in again automatically. And it said Kohberger's digital footprint also included passive log of Wi-Fi networks his phone sought out. On the night of the murders, before his phone was turned off, his phone was searching for Wi-Fi signal, and he wasn't at home, Jared said. One Wi-Fi log caught Heather's attention. When she was searching his digital footprint, the network name for the Mad Greek, though nothing concrete tied him to the location at the time of the murders, the Wi-Fi log suggested he had been there before, possibly more than once. So when he was back in, Moscow, I don't know if they're referring to that night, but it sounds like he did log into the Mad Greek Wi-Fi at some point. But wouldn't you think, though, that law enforcement would know whether or not, when his phone was logged on, the passive logging into the network, they would be able to tell if Maddie was there at that time. right? Or Xana even. I mean, so Xana and Maddie both worked at the Mad Greek. So wouldn't you be able to tell just immediately if they were working on the days that his phone passively connected? And maybe they haven't been able to connect that, but that is an interesting connection, right? That his phone passively tried to log into the Mad Greek. And there it was. Heather confirmed his device had passively logged that network. And I think that was really about the only really interesting elements of the article. It's not like earth-shattering information. I mean, I think people thought that maybe he went to the Mad Greek, but now it sounds like he's logged in, so it means that he was probably in there. But I think law enforcement then would check to see if, you know, the work log and Kohberger's phone passively logging in, etc. I think probably the most interesting thing was he downloaded, he was really into Danny Rolling. And I think you'll see that I made a video on that. We'll put it at the end for you to watch. All right. So now let's go to the second portion that we were going to talk about. All right. So again, for people who are sort of new to the case, or haven't been watching people that give you the sort of the graphical representation, this building right here is 1122 King Road. Oh, it's interesting. There's actually, they changed the wording on here. It says the Beautiful Four. Interesting. There's actually a location. Okay, but this is the house that all 4 victims were killed. Ethan Chapin, Xander Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez. And then this house right here is 1112 King Road, almost the same number, but it's 1112, and this is 1122. All right, so there's a camera right here in the front of it, and that's the camera that filmed the white Elantra. So what you're seeing in the footage is the vehicle coming in and turning, and then this building here is 1119 King Road. And you could see on that, from that camera, the vehicle up here on Willanta Drive driving by between these 2 buildings. And this one is 1127. So in that case, when the Elantra was driving around like this, and the headlights, as the vehicle turned, hit the top of this building right there. And you can also see that on this camera here. All right. So that camera is huge, and would have been huge in the case. I think it has like 50 pieces of information following that Elantra. And then there's another camera back here on this building. That's the 1330 Linda Lane camera that filmed the Elantra coming back here and driving around like that. All right, so I'll be putting together a video here pretty soon where it has all of the surveillance footage, and my footage will fill in the gap. I've driven around the apartment many times, and I'll fill it in with footage so you'll be able to see the entire route that the Elantra was taking. All right, so we'll do that coming up. All right, so that is the house location. I'm going to be putting, I have to put that in there because people keep asking the same questions. I always wish you would just had been watching my channel for all these years, because you'd have all of this stuff absolutely dialed in. So let's go back to the 3D model. I'll start right here. These are the steps going up to the 2nd floor. All right, now we're going to go up the stairs, and when it gets to the top of the stairs, it turns, right? And then you go right back down to Xana's room. Now Xana's room has that the rug in there. Right, and we see that again. We'll show this. This is an image of Dylan in Xana's room. There's the door right there. There's a closet in the back corner. There's a like a feathery little seat here, and there's that carpet right there on the floor. Then we also have another image from looking through the mirror, and it shows the pink sheet on Xana's bed. This is not Madison's room. Okay, Madison's room, when you come through the door, the bed is on a wall. Like as soon as you open the door, it's on a wall over there. Okay, that's not what we're seeing here. This is absolutely Xana's room, and it's really obvious to people who know the layout. Now, again, this is look down the hallway where basically I am, and if I back up slightly here, about like right there, And then this shot here was a more cleaner version where you can see this. And you know, a lot of people, you know, we're not absolutely sure. I think that's blood that they blurred out here. Might not be, but I think it could be because she's not on a bed and all the blood would just be on the floor, unfortunately. So very well could be that. I don't know 100% certain. It could be something that they were wearing, a pillow or anything, you know. But it's interesting that they blurred it out. Then we move to here, and this is that same pink sheet that you see in this image right there, and then that blue blanket right there appears to be what you can maybe see back there. There's even a different shot of that. If we go forward here, yeah, you can see it better right there. So I think that's that same blanket, and then that's it. I mean, that's how I'm showing you that this is absolutely 100% Xana Kernodle's room. Also, see this end table right here? It's turned. Okay, you can see the pink sheet, the blue here, but you can see that table. Now let's go back to this shot. See it? It's right there. So this is from the hallway, right? And right here is the living room. So if you zoom in, that's the table that is turned that has a lot of the blood on it. So you see it really clear in this shot. There it is. And then we'll go back to this one right here, and you can see there is that table right there that you can see from the hallway. And so that should obviously convince the people out there that thought this was Madison's pink sheet that this is absolutely Xana Kernodle's room. There is no doubt at all, 100% certain. It's a fact. It's not, I'm not guessing. It's nothing like that. It's 100% a fact. So now we'll move up to Madison Mogen's room. And this is similar to yesterday's video. You see the two blood spots right there. Here's the door. The reason I know that's her door is because right here, there's those two blood spots again, and the door opens. Here is Madison Mogen's shoes that we can see in this picture right there. Those are the same shoes. See those? I think she's even wearing the same jeans. This image right here is taken the same day. So those jeans right there, those are the boots. And then look at the sheet right there. See, it might have some pink tones to it. And there also might just be another pink comforter in the scene that we haven't seen. All right, but this is Madison Mogen's room. And I can see right over here, this is where the closet is. And there's a window right above there. We can't see it in that shot. But let's take a look at this. This is her room. There's the closet. And look at the bed there. It has that exact color of, I don't know if it's a comforter or what, but it's right there on her bed in her room. Okay, I had never seen this photograph before. And then if you take a look at this picture, this is a light switch on the wall as you come into the door. That's exactly where you put light switches. And I've even put it into the scene now. So let's walk through. This is Xana's room. Then we're going to go upstairs. And we first go into Kaylee's room. Now I'll slowly go out of Kaylee's room and come in here. And I've kind of changed the blanket color in there to sort of a mauve. But see how there's a light switch right here? I could probably move it up higher, wherever you want to put it, but it's right there. And the door opens up and there'd be a light switch there. Where Xana's bed is, there would not be a light switch. You put them where the door is when you're coming into a room. All right? So if we go back in this all the way down to her room, the light switch would be likely, since her door opens up that way, they may have put one right here. It's also possible they did put one over there, but it's probably right between the door and the closet. All right, so I mean, I hope this is convincing the people. You should just see how vigorously everybody kept typing, "You got the room wrong, great, the pink sheet." It's like, why not you observe the room that it's in and the way it's laid out? It absolutely 100% is Madison Mogen's room. That is this room right here. This is, Kaylee's on the left side over here, and Madison's to her right. and they are on the bed, and apparently probably Madison's left leg is off the bed, and there's a knife sheath also on her left side because she's laying on her back, and apparently it's like underneath the quilt, and maybe that's what is pink. I don't know, or maybe the officer is thinking this color is pink, like some, the lighting that we have might not be exactly the lighting, and maybe it just has a slight pink look to them. I don't know, but this is the room. All right. Well, I hope that solved the issue for a lot of the people out there that were arguing in the chat. I mean, it's almost unbelievable. It absolutely 100% is, Madison Mogen's room that those last images I was just showing were from, and then also Xander Kernodle's room was the first room that we went in that had the carpet on the floor, and that is a pink blanket that is in her room because she had one too. All right. Well, thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time. If you hit that like button for me, that would be great. But don't hit it twice. Just hit it one time. But if you could hit that, it'd be awesome. Thanks for watching. We'll be doing a show later this evening. Check out the Danny Rolling video at the end of this. I think you'll find it interesting. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.